Everyone, Mark Edwards here. Just want to do a short video today ahead of the U18 in Switzerland and the OHL Draft as well. Our scout Brad Allen actually flew overseas last week. He's been in Sweden and he's leaving Sweden tomorrow morning to fly into Switzerland for the start of the U18. So I think I'll start there. Canada starts their tournament against Sweden. I'm just going to talk about a couple of players on Team Canada today, Nick Lardus and Quentin Burns, two players who serve as examples. Why we always say, you can't just scout in 2 week segments, whether that segment is a tournament or the start of the season or just the end of the season. Like to put all those 2 week segments together for a full resume of a player. Um, I actually talked a little bit about this earlier this season. Um, Back early November, I did a platinum podcast just to give an idea of where I was with some players. Just after having some initial viewings, some of those players just one viewing at that time in getting through October and making the podcast in early November. So in Lardus' case, he's actually a player I watched a little bit going back to his OHL draft year, and I really liked his game. Then last year I saw Peterborough a few times, obviously, and thought he was solid. Wasn't there to see him, but obviously you notice the players for the following year's draft, casually within your volumes of current players, current draft year players. So then flash forward to this year, I saw him a few times early in the season, and I actually thought he was really struggling. I was really surprised because to be honest, I really liked him both in minor midget and what I saw last year. So I was surprised in just kind of how um, average he kind of was for a player that I came into the season really liking. So flash forward a few months later and trade to a new team, and Lardus is looking a whole lot more like that player that I liked back in the AAA and last season. He just finished this season ahead of the U18, continuing his great play since leaving Peterborough with 5 goals and 5 assists in the OHL playoffs. And I think in October, he looked kind of like a C plus rated prospect on our scale, and then flash forward to now, and really a chunk of the second half, and I've got him more as a higher end B rated prospect. He's skilled. He's a great skater. Not a huge kid, but he's not tiny. But really smart player, and he can just flat out score, which he's proven, especially in this second half here. I think sometimes he plays a little bit too much on the perimeter. Seen that a little bit, but for me, this is also an area that's improved since he was traded. Um, so he'll be an interesting one here. Big ice in Europe, and I think he'll get some real prominent ice time here, and a real chance to shine to close off his season. So just a player to watch here. The other guy I want to talk about is also an OHLer, and it's Quentin Burns from Kingston. So unlike Lardus, I didn't see Burns in his OHL draft season, and I didn't really know his game nearly as well as I started this scouting season. Much like Lardus, I thought he struggled a bit early in my early season viewings. After 2 early viewings, I had him graded as a late pick at best. Actually, I think I even had him just as a watch. So for me, the watch is just go back and check on him again at a later point. He just made some poor decisions with the puck and really poor decisions overall throughout his game. And I didn't think he showed a ton of confidence handling the puck. But that changed. Flash forward to mid-season, and I saw a completely different player who actually looked incredibly poised with the puck and so much more confident handling the puck. I just thought he made huge strides. Really couldn't believe how much more poise and confidence he showed. He's got some old school in him, which I really like. He plays with some real toughness. He's got size. He can really skate. He plays huge minutes for Kingston, a real key part of their back end. If I had to say the weakness, it would probably be in the hockey IQ department, but it's not like it's below average or bad or anything. It's just that would be where I would classify his weak point amongst our grading system. All right, I'm going to move on to the OHL Draft, which is also coming up here. We recently released our OHL Draft guide, and it's kind of fun because I saw some of the high end guys this year, and I weighed in on them in our final meeting. I really try not to mess up our guys who have been scouting these guys all season long and kind of come in at the end and just kind of state this is what I want. I don't do that. I have to feel pretty strongly for me to kind of put, bang the table on anything and mess up their list and their work they've done all year because they've seen all the players. They've seen them in different tournaments throughout the season, regular season, playoffs, the whole thing. But anyway, just some thoughts on some of the guys I did see. So Matt Schaefer was my top player that I ranked. He also ended up being our group's top player. Extremely talented, smooth skating D-man from the Halton Hurricanes, who drives play really from the back end. So pretty complete player, defends well. He really moves pucks, and then he's got offensive capabilities as well. Second on our list was William Moore from the Toronto Marlboros. Big kid who's actually going to be going to the U.S. national program next fall. So you won't see him go off the board too quickly in the OHL draft, knowing with teams knowing that he's headed there. But really smart, skilled, made an impact in all the games where I saw him. Third is Brady Martin from the Waterloo Wolves. I personally struggled with my own ranking of Martin versus Moore for second overall, but eventually just gave the edge to Moore. Martin is just an absolute compete machine, talented player, who's also one of the hardest workers in this draft class, I think. So he's in at third. Fourth is talented forward from the Chicago Mission, Cole McKinney. He just flashed exceptional skill in my viewings. And our scout in Michigan also had him as his top rated prospect for his area. So he came in fourth. And then fifth was Ryan Rubrick from the London Junior Knights. Ryan was the prospect I saw first out of this draft class. And I actually heard about him a lot going back to last year as well. Our guys had seen him a lot, and pretty prominent prospect heading into this draft season, and was actually our midterm number one. So anyway, I saw him in a junior B game in the fall. I was there with about 12 other NHL scouts watching the two brothers in Leamington for the NHL draft, and Ryan Rubrick dressed for that game for the London Nationals. So I was really impressed with the tools, but somewhat disappointed in his work ethic. I actually saw Michael Dowcole way back, going back quite a ways, back in his bantam year. And that kind of reminded me, Rubrick kind of reminded me of when I saw Dowcole way back in bantam, just in that work ethic department. Ryan is a much better skater than Dowcole was, but I think Dowcole had a higher hockey IQ. So anyway, just that name came to mind as I was kind of watching his work ethic level. He's an extremely talented player, much like Dowcole was, but I was probably lowest on him amongst our scouts. So just some quick thoughts on a few guys. You'll be seeing come off the board pretty early, and 2 years from now for the NHL draft as well. There'll be names that'll be prominent when I'm looking at them all over again for that draft. So anyway, looking forward to the U18 beginning here. I'm going to go to the odd playoff game finishing out, but really slowing down in that department because it's Black Book season. We're full steam trying to get that thing written up and produced and get it out at the beginning of June. OHL Draft Guide is available. The Q Scouts are working hard on our Q Draft Guide, which will be out towards the end of May, early June as well, I think, if memory serves. Maybe mid-May. I'll have to check on that off the top of my head. And that's about it.